slide is an illustration of some of the dietary practices and lifestyle practices that we can adopt to mitigate the seasonal changes or effects that occur throughout the year. Due to, this is a very extensive slide. We could spend a lot of time on this, but in the essence of time, we're gonna stay focused on just one season, the season we're currently in. I'm going to walk you through it as an example. But the point of the slide is that there is a need to align ourselves with the cycle of seasons by electing appropriate dietary habits. And what this includes is there are two elements to this. One is we should elect proper tastes, and then we should focus on electing appropriate quality or characteristics of food. Now, I think most of us know there are 6 tastes in our food: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, pungent, and astringent. And then in terms of quality or gunas, as they call it in Ayurveda, there are about 20 that are listed. A few examples would be hot, cold, dense, light, and heavy, liquid versus solids, oily versus dry, so on and so forth. Those are just some examples of the texture or characteristics of food that we should be paying attention to. And then in terms of our lifestyle protocols, there are some activities that are forbidden and some that are indicated or suggested for different seasons. So let me walk you through what's indicated or suggested for the summer season, the season we are currently in. We still have about, today is July 12th. The sun moves into Cancer on July 15th, which is the solar ingress or Sankranti day. And that will actually transition into the Visarga Kala, or the downward movement of the sun. And that's the beginning of our Varsha Ritu or rainy season. But we still have about between now and July 23rd, we can still dabble with some of the summer protocols and gradually adopt towards the rainy season protocols. So what to favor in terms of taste for summer? Sweet foods should be favored. And then you want to favor foods that are liquid, because we are at the risk of dehydration. So we want to make sure that we stay hydrated. And like I mentioned, the sun sucks up moisture from the earth, leaving it dry. So you want to include more of liquids in your diet. So think of, juices, even plain cold water, and lots of liquid in your diet. So try and avoid dry foods like popcorn, potato chips. That's not gonna serve us well. And foods that are not overly hot, you want to stay cool, like tender coconut juice or something to that effect would be really useful, or even just fruit juices that is naturally cool. The trick here is that it shouldn't be frozen. You don't want to go overboard. So that's why I'm going to share a couple of recipes that do just the right trick that I'm referring to, and in just a little bit. But what this is saying is that you don't want to eat anything hot, and you want to stay away from alcohol. And I'm drawing attention to this because there are some things that are very cultural. I know here in Canada, summer is a really good time for socializing, and it's a really good time to be outdoor. And a lot of people, if we call it the patio season, it's really beautiful when the sun comes out and we have longer summer days. And a lot of people engage in social activities, and there's a lot of indulgence in alcohol. So the patio season invites, people gathering over drinks, alcoholic drinks. And this is a big no-no. This is in violation to Ritucharya. You can get away from consuming alcohol in other seasons, but it can be really unforgiving if you indulge in alcohol during summer, because it leaves you really, really dry. So that is something you want to avoid. Stay away from overly salty and sour food. Also, the thing to note here is that this is not to say that the foods, the taste listed under avoid means that you should completely avoid. Obviously, you should have some salt in your food. But what this is saying is that you should have less of it and more of the taste that is listed on the top under the favor section. So you should include more of sweets and less of salty and sour foods during summer. And lifestyle, try not to exercise too much during summertime, because remember I said that summer is a time when our immunity is at its lowest. We are weakened, we don't have enough strength. That's why it's very common, very typical for people to feel very tired very soon during summertime. So you don't want to overexert yourself. Now, again, this is not saying that you should not engage in any physical activity. That is not the point. The point is that you don't want to engage in any strenuous activity. So for instance, you don't want to go running, or you don't want to practice marathon. At least not during midday, when sun is at its peak between say 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. That's the time you want to avoid. So moderate activity like walking or stretching, those gentle exercises, yoga practices, those are fine, but you want to make sure that you don't overexert yourself. And moon bathing is a very relaxing ritual that everybody can engage in, and it's ideal during summertime because moon brings in that cooling energy and counteracts with the solar energy, which brings up the heat element. And it's very simple to do. All you need to do is we just need to expose ourselves to the cooling rays of the full moon, or the days leading up to full moon, the waxing moon phase, and just bathe. Just expose yourself to the gentle rays of the moon. So it's a very relaxing activity, and you can do it as a social activity as well. You can invite your friends and then have a small gathering perhaps, and it's very enjoyable. So oleation refers to what is called as Abhyanga in Ayurveda. It refers to oiling, external application of oil on our body. It is an extremely relaxing protocol. So the intent is to moisturize our body and loosen the tissues of the body. It's the oil that we elect have the ability to penetrate deep into the tissues and bring about great amount of relaxation. It is highly recommended to engage in Abhyanga, or at least on a weekly basis, during late autumn and winter months. So winter months are often very dry months, especially if you're living in cold climate. And you can, dry skin is a hallmark of winter, right? So we all have experienced chapped skin. So Abhyanga is a very soothing activity. It involves external application of warm Ayurvedic oils and massaging it gently over your body. So it's a full body application all the way from the top of your head all the way down to your feet. So, and it's if you haven't already tried it, I would highly recommend it. Don't try it now during summer months, but definitely want to give it a try during winter months. And Atapa is one of my favorite activities. Atapa Seva is essentially sunbathing. So during winter months, when there is not enough sunlight, it is recommended that we expose ourselves to the beneficial rays of the sun, but during appropriate time. So the first Muhurat, or the first 48 minutes after sunrise, is considered an appropriate time to engage in sun exposure. And also the Muhurat after that. So roughly about an hour and a half after sunrise is considered appropriate, and it's very beneficial. It's called Atapa Seva.